Okay, I would like to be respectful of everyone's time, especially our speaker today. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce today's webinar. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Mary Angie Carriles, and I am the HR Department Manager for Professional Development. Welcome to today's webinar, Empowering the LGBTQ plus communities in the Path to Home Ownership. We will learn today how we can help the LGBTQ people in the home buying process and the pathway to achieve home ownership, which I think is everyone's goal. That is a realtor, just make sure everyone gets in their house and they're happy and content and get the best service possible. Before I formally introduce today's subject matter expert, I just would like to remind everyone, like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, please utilize the chat to talk to us. If you have any questions, we will hold those questions into the end, and then we will answer all of those for you. This webinar is being recorded, and we will share that recording with you after the webinar is over. And also, there is no CE credit for this webinar, so you do not need to be on camera. We are not going to be able to hear you, but we still want to interact with you, so please ask all your questions in the chat. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Reyes Poden. Reyes is a team mortgage organizer with Prime Lending and the 2023 chapter president of the Houston chapter for the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance Group. Reyes has a lot of good information for us to see how we can empower, especially June is Pride Month. So let's empower LGBTQ plus communities and get them to their homes. Reyes, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, thank you, Mary Angie, and thank you to all that has joined this webinar today. I'm excited to be able to present on behalf of the Real Estate Alliance of this presentation and talking about LGBT homeownership and just kind of going through a little bit of our history as well. So let's get started. So as you can see, like Mary Angie said, my name is Reyes Poden. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Prime Lending, and I'm also the Houston chapter president for 2023. So I'm very excited to be here. I've been part of the Alliance for a little over 2 years now, and very excited to see the work that we are doing at the Alliance, not only on the local chapter, but also with our national team as well. So just want to go a little bit of background on what the Alliance is. So we were founded in June of 2020. So as you guys can remember, that was the time where COVID was starting to really ramp up. We were really trying to figure out how our business worked, and real estate professionals and even our home buyers were trying to find a different way into how real estate would work. We currently have over 3,000 members in the US, Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, and Puerto Rico. Our 4 pillars at the Alliance are advocacy, education, philanthropy, and business development. So as you can see there is a lot of work to be done, not only on our national team, but our local team, to make sure that we advocate for fair housing, that we educate not only our clients, but our real estate professionals on different things that they can do, as well as educate themselves on how to be well prepared when they are working with someone who identifies in the LGBT community. Philanthropy, really giving back to our community and using our skills to develop our agents and develop our members to be able to be sound business professionals and continue to grow and lead the way in real estate. We are made up of community members and allies. So not only are our members people who identify in the LGBTQ plus community, we do have a large vast of our allies that come support our communities as well. So our advocacy on all things housing, LGBT community, we focus on increasing LGBTQ plus homeownership rate. And currently it's sitting at 49.8%, which is a very vast difference from the 65% of national homeownership rate and 74% for non-Hispanic whites. So we have a lot of goals to connect our community with our members as serving as a generation of learning vehicle in wealth. So just to give a little bit of background on the letters and terms within there. So you may say, if you have never seen the acronym before, you're not sure what they mean, or you heard it, but you don't really, know what it stands for. The L stands for lesbian, a woman who is sexually and romantically attracted to another woman. Gay is defined as a sexual or romantic attraction for people of one of the same sex, often used to refer to men only. Bisexual, someone who is attracted to people of their gender or other gender identities. Transgender, a wide-ranging term of people who are gender identify or gender expression differs from the biological sex that they were assigned at birth. And queer, once a derogatory term, this word is now essentially an umbrella term that describes people who fit somewhere in our LGBTQ plus spectrum. And as you can see, we've defined LGBTQ, but we have a plus at the end. And so that's where we go into some of our other people identifying our community. And I started out earlier in saying ally, a person who's or organization that cooperates or helps others in a particular activity. Within the LGBTQ plus community, this refers to those who support actively or passively individuals and organizations. Asexual, someone who experiences little or no sexual attraction. These are not to be confused with aromantic people or experience little or no romantic attraction. Biological sex, a label given at birth based off medical factors, including hormones, chromosomes, genitalia, also called assigned sex or anatomical sex. And then cisgender, someone who is gender identity matches the sex they were assigned at birth. We also have gender identity, non-binary, pansexual, and questioning that also are included in our plus part of the acronym as well. And as you can see on the screen here, these definitions go into a little bit more detail as far as not only how we identify, but also the different subsets of what may someone may be going through or may someone identify with. And we have clients, we have agents, we have people who identify in all facets of this, and every person deserves the right to be able to be called what they prefer to be called, and us be able to understand the differences and be able to make sure that they are protected when they go through a real estate transaction, or they're going through any type of transaction, regardless of real estate, of anything like that as well. So our biggest thing with these is, I know I am loud and proud, and I'm a gay man married to my wonderful husband, and I still struggle sometimes with some of these definitions and making sure that I get it right. Our biggest thing in the community is we all are going to make mistakes, and that's okay. The person that you're speaking with, or the person that you're working with, may correct you or they may not. But the biggest thing that we talk about with anyone is, what is your intent? If you misgender or miscall someone, if you come at it at a place of love and you come at it at a place of not understanding, someone in the community that may feel a different type of way or may interpret that in a negative way is not going to then respond in a negative manner. Most of the time, people in our community, because they understand that there are a lot of facets, they are willing to provide that education back to you, as long as you give an open arms in understanding that part as well. So we all try to get it right, but we're not always going to get it right. And it's a learning curve for all of us. So our biggest thing is, continue to practice, continue to communicate, and keep lines of communication open, because that's going to be the only way that we continue forward and really make a difference in our community. So a little bit about the LGBT community. So some stats that we have here. We are not just popping up like flowers. We're simply more comfortable with living our truth. So LGBTQ plus people are not just something that just started in the last millennia or last 10 years. We have always been here, but because of certain factors and certain things that were in place in the past, many people either hid, concealed, or just didn't disclose their identity because of fear of discrimination, their fear of what people will think, fear of their job, fear of what family will think. And so over time, this is something that has evolved in our community. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the presentation of how this has come to be and what our path is to move forward. So the documented LGBTQ plus population is growing as more individuals are self-identifying and being more open about their sexual orientation and gender identity. HRC recently shared that LGBTQ plus population has risen to 8% of all US adults, which is a vast change in what we saw in, let's say, in the early 90s. Some additional stats here. The 2023 Gallup poll found that the presence of LGBTQ plus adults in America has risen to 7.2%. It was 3.5 in 2012's Gallup survey and grew to 4.5 in 2017. It was 6.5% 2 years ago in 2020, and is now over 7.2 in 2023. So as you can see, from the time of 2012 to 2023, 11 years later, we have increased almost, what is that, more than double the amount of people who identify in the LGBTQ plus community as an adult. And Gallup reported that 58.2% of those identified as LGBTQ plus are bisexual, followed by gay man at 22.2 and lesbians 13.4, and our transgender family at 8.8%. The LGBT documented percentage of LGBT community members has steadily risen over in younger generations. So as you can see on the chart here, we go from our traditionalists. So our people that were born before 1946, you can see that in our survey in 2020, the population was 1.3. And in the last 3 years has risen to 1.7. And as the generations have gotten younger, you can see this percentage increase over time as the millennials and Gen Z have now increased to over 11.2 and 19.7% of the US population. So we've seen a significant increase in our people identifying and really speaking their truth and understanding what their identity is, what their sexual orientation is, and being proud to be able to present and show the world who we are, because it's not something that we need to be ashamed of. Compared to the oldest generations, baby boomers, you can see how acceptable levels, how allowed us to live authentically. It's really stunning to see the difference, and only 2.6% of all baby boomers are identified as LGBTQ+. Additional stats, NAR recently shared that 89% of members identify as straight heterosexual. NAR also found that 3% identify as gay or lesbian and 1 is bisexual. Gallup reported that 71% of support of same-sex marriage, up from 27% in 1996. So of the people that were polled in Gallup, 3/4 of the country support same-sex marriage, which goes to show that we are moving in the right direction, and the actions that have been taken since the beginning have really shown the growth in our community and the force that we are. That is very mighty, and we continue to be a force, and we continue to stand up and speak forward for the things that we believe is holding true. With growing numbers and support of the community comes great power. Back in 2018, the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce found that there were $1.4 million LGBTQ plus owned businesses that brought in over $1.7 trillion in economic input into the US economy. By itself, the US LGBTQ plus community would have been number 10 largest economies in the world, larger than Australia, Canada, and South Korea combined. And with the year, Wittig Partners found that the LGBTQ plus consumer had $917 billion in buying power. That was 5 years ago. We know the LGBT community has essentially doubled. So our economic power has even been greater in the last 5 years as well, and will continue to grow as LGBTQ plus businesses continue to thrive and continue to stand power in what we represent in the communities that we serve. So a little bit more history on and background and things that we've won in our past. In modern LGBT movement that launched on June 28, 1969, the day when New York City police officers raided a gay bar called Stonewall in Greenwich Village, excuse me, this kind of chokes me up. Police officers were purposely raided and attacked other gay bars at this time. The resistance that followed for 6 consecutive days after the raid were widely known as the Stonewall Riots, which launched the LGBTQ plus efforts, protesting and fighting for equality. As a result of this, Pride Month has been designed for the month of June every single year, with many parades hosted in the country to celebrate the efforts of the LGBTQ plus community. The original Pride flag itself was designed in 1978, just in time for the historic 1979 March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. For many, awareness of the LGBTQ plus community came with the devastating HIV/AIDS pandemic that began in the 1980s. More than 500,000 lives were lost through 2002, spawned the AIDS Memorial Quilt, which covered the National Mall in DC and captivated the nation. Hatred towards the LGBTQ plus community continued to reach a crescendo on October 7, 1998, when Matthew Shepard was violently and gruesomely murdered. This was one of the most notorious hate crimes in our nation's history. The 21-year-old University of Wyoming student was beaten, tied to a fence in a cold field outside Laramie and left to die. This struck a huge part in our community and really catapulted our efforts into making sure that we protect our community and strive forward to protect our rights as the LGBTQ plus community. And then in one of the most historic moments in Pride Month, June 26th, just 12 years, 7 years ago, 2 days ago on June 26th, a 5-4 vote of the Supreme Court, Jim Obergefell won the Supreme Court case and legalized same-sex marriage. Marriage equality has really helped the LGBT community achieve homeownership. 73 of our married LGBTQ plus people own homes, which is similar to 80% of all. There's still a growing number of same-sex married couples and more than 750,000 in our nation. Then came the big moment of protecting our community in the workspace. In June 2020, the Supreme Court ruled in Bostock versus Clayton County that LGBT people are protected from sexual discrimination and employment decisions under the Title VII of Civil Rights Act of 1964. Workers cannot be fired on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Many of these workers were protected by local state laws. There were no federal laws in place to establish such regulation, discrimination in the LGBTQ+ community. As you can see, this is the work from Obergefell to the court decision in June 20 have all been an integral part in the success and growth of our support in the LGBTQ+ community, which has then in turn increased the number of people who have identified over the years, as well as it has given the confidence for people within the community to achieve and start the process of homeownership. Which brings us to President Biden and his administration. Just days out of his inauguration, President Biden stated true to his word and offered protections to the LGBTQ+ community. His executive order on preventing the combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation was put forward a few hours after his inauguration to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. This led to the Department of Housing and Urban Development to declare it would administer and enforce the Fair Housing Act to prohibit discrimination against the LGBTQ+ community. A month later, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced it would enforce the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and ensure that no banks or lenders deny credit based off of sexual orientation and gender identity. While not the law of the land, this was a big moment for our community. Same-sex couples have now increased and surpassed 1 million in our U.S. In the U.S., excuse me. Companies surveyed the U.S. Census reported 1.2 million same-sex households in 2021. About 60% of them were married. We recently learned that through the census that there are 1.2 million same-sex couples in the U.S., up from 580,000 in 2008. Finally, on December 13, 2022, President Biden passed into law the Respect for Marriage Act. This huge confidence boost is now every state must recognize the same-sex and biracial marriage, no matter what state the marriage was conducted in. As you can see, this is a big part, especially in the real estate community, because there are laws and things that are going through our country right now that are causing people to have second thoughts on where they live and moving their families based off the laws that have come through. So leadership, LGBT community and homeownership. So let's go through a little bit more stats with that. UCLA Williams Institute reported that the homeownership rate is 49.8, which is far lower than the US Census reports of the national average about 65. Groups like Freddie Mac found that the top 4 reasons that the LGBTQ plus people purchase a home are to stop paying rent to someone else, to have the freedom to control to decorate their personal space, to create a financial investment for their future, and to provide a greater stability personally for them and their family. We're just like everybody else. The percentage of renters who want to own a home is 72% in the LGBT community compared to the general population of 75%. Percentage of renters who want to believe homeownership is a good investment 79 in the LGBT community to the 84% in the general population. Homeownership is a part of our American dream, 49 and 55. And then our homeownership rate, as I explained before, 49% in LGBTQ plus community and 65 in the general population. So why so low? Discrimination slows wealth. And it impacts our ability to enter into homeownership. To us, housing discrimination really begins long before we enter the home buying and selling process. 40% of the Alliance members said that bullying, discrimination, and or fears of discrimination in the home buying process in high school and college impact their early earning potential. And when do we get jobs? We're fearful. The National LGBTQ plus Workers Center study found that 47% of LGBTQ plus employees have believed to have been out of work could have damaged their career, losing job, getting a promotion, not selected for a project. So there's a vast amount of LGBTQ plus community members that have stopped or not even, identified at their place of work because they feel that it could hold them back from being able to advance in their careers. States with no LGBTQ plus housing protections. So as you can see, in our 50 states in the United States, we have 30 states now, Alaska just joined the efforts, where it is legal to discriminate someone based off of their sexual orientation or gender identity. So currently the law shows that 30 states, people have the ability to discriminate against someone on either the seller, agent, buyer, on any parts of the transaction. So there's still so much work to be done, not only in our beautiful state of Texas, but also in our country as a whole. And unfortunately, I have to report, states with the most anti-LGBTQ activity as of March of 2023, so just a few months ago, Texas has led the way in anti-LGBTQ plus bills that have hit the Texas floor. And those include bills that have gone into place. As you guys have probably known, the one that has been placed recently about reading to books in libraries, as well as our drag performers and in performers in general, performing in businesses as well, that have come against and attacked our community. We at the Alliance, like I said, we advocate on the forefront of our local as well as our national. And our national team is well steadfast on making sure that anything that we need to do to combat these, as well as get the right people in place to make sure that these things don't go into law, that we get in front of them as soon as we can and as quickly as we can. As you can see here, even Dwayne Wade talks about moving his family out of Florida over the anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. Florida passed their Don't Say Gay bill. And so schools have had to remove things from their books as well. So all of these things, the reason I bring them up and the reason I have an emphasis on it is all of these things affect what we see on the other side, right? As you can see, we talk about in housing that there are things in the market that affect rates. There are things that in the market that affect real estate and homeownership rates, appraised values and those type of things. These type of legislation can directly affect our community and really can be detrimental. And that's a big part, as us as real estate professionals on this call, this could be a big impact of not being able to support our community in the state that we live in. People wanting to leave, our allies wanting to leave our state because they don't feel comfortable with the legislation that's come in. So we have a lot of work to be done, but we are steadfast and full force in making sure that we do everything we can to look at that. So housing discrimination is real, and that's a big part I want to talk about today. 21% of the Alliance members believe that housing discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community is up over the last 3 years. A year ago, in our 2022 survey, 17.9% of our members believe that it has increased. Clearly, the tax on our community has shown up in the form of increased housing discrimination and is not just saying it. The Center for American Progress shared that 29% of the LGBTQ plus community people reported experienced some kind of housing discrimination or harassment in a housing settling in this past year. Thankfully, when it comes to how discrimination shows itself in housing, real estate professionals are no longer the greatest culprit. As you may remember the last year Alliance member survey, our members had real estate professionals at number 1. Now they're third behind forms that require signatures and seller discrimination. So at the top of our survey, 20.3% of legal forms needing signature has been the biggest form of discrimination that we have seen from the Alliance and our Alliance members, followed by discriminated against a prospective home buyer. And that comes from the seller side. And then real estate professionals. We've seen a decrease over time. And I think that's been a big part in our real estate professionals and our allies really stepping up to make sure that we get educated, as well as know that our LGBTQ plus community is vast and we are mighty. And we have the ability to own homes and we have the ability to achieve home ownership. And more of our real estate professionals are seeing that and understanding the real power that comes behind our community. So I'll go through this one pretty quickly. 47% of the LGBTQ plus employees believe that out at work can be a damage of the career. 50% LGBT employees report discrimination negatively impacted their well-being. Those making $75,000 or more, only 55% of the LGBTQ plus employees are satisfied at work, and to the 71% of all employees who reported. So our journey to homeownership. So let's talk about this a little bit. Starting out, the 2023 LGBTQ plus real estate report went into depth in the journey of homeownership for the LGBTQ plus community. Through a variety of sources, including our own member survey, we were able to get a grasp on where and when and why the LGBTQ plus people choose their area to live in when starting out their professional lives. When we learned the same for the first, second, and third, and even fourth homes we buy and what motivated those purchases. We believe this is the first work of its kind that shows in such detail the rationale for such motives and where the community choose to live. The survey of nearly 400 LGBTQ plus real estate alliance members show that the community is much more likely to first live on their own in an urban area compared to our straight allies colleagues. Nearly 70% of gay men who responded chose to start their lives in an urban center compared to the 45% of lesbian women and 42% of straight colleagues. Nearly 90% of the LGBTQ plus alliance correspondents first lived on their own prior to the age of 24, with 12.3% doing so before the age of 18. So as you can see, the things that we talked about before in being out in high school and the things that impact our young community and our younger generation, and then the impact on our work life and what it is to be out at work and to be satisfied with our work job and knowing that we can live our true selves truly affects the way that we start out our homeownership journey and where we choose to live, as well as what sets us up to be successful and what roadblocks and barriers come into play in early life that then affect us. And this is a big part of we can do as real estate professionals to make sure that we set ourselves up for the buyers and home buyers and sellers that we have and the next generation that is coming into real estate as well. It was really interesting to learn that the survey gay men valued social dating scenes and nightlife more when choosing to begin their professional careers than their lesbian women colleagues. Nearly 36% of gay men listed their social and dating scene as the top 5 reasons for choosing where to live. Nearly 30% of gay men also included nightlife, compared to 17% of straight respondents and 15.9% of our lesbian women. When it comes to our first homes, our report found that more than 90% of our straight LGBTQ plus alliance allies responded to purchasing their home by 33 years of age, compared to only 75.9% of LGBTQ plus people. The survey also shed light on the importance of life events, formalized relationships, marriage, children, and growing families. For LGBT and straight respondents, 38% of all LGBTQ respondents show the survey reported a formalized relationship, engagements, or marriage was one of the top 3 reasons to purchase their home. Lesbian women were much higher at 58% compared to gay men at 34%. So family, marriage, all these things that we talked about before have been driving forces in our community and wanting to achieve homeownership. And so the work that has been done in the years past and what we've seen in recent years and even this year, we've seen the growth and we've seen the changes to really push us forward into homeownership. So the impact of same-sex marriage being legalized at the federal level by the Supreme Court in 2015 made a positive impact. And the bills and the law, and as well as the laws that are being presented right now, will continue to drive us forward as we continue to grow in homeownership efforts overall. We also learned about the topic of homeownership purchase compared to colleagues, and 25% of our members are allies. That is 1/4 of our alliance community that identify as allies and support our efforts in homeownership, because they understand like I said earlier, how mighty we are, and understand that there is a vast niche community that really can be tapped into to achieve what we talked about before in the $917 billion in economic power and $1.7 trillion of economic inflow that the LGBTQ plus community is driving in. And these are all forces and ways for us to achieve homeownership as well. So the impact of children, you can imagine the LGBTQ plus people are rising when it comes to children. UCLA Willis Institute reports that 29% of the LGBTQ plus people have children, and that 21.9% of married same-sex couples are raising children. And as we talked about before, family and marriage are a big driving force in the ability to start looking at homeownership and making sure that that is achieved rather than renting, or rather than living in a home where they're paying someone else for their rent. Straight first-time home buyers rated access to schools as their 9th most important factor in choosing a community. Throughout the buying journey, this group valued schooling dramatically more than LGBTQ plus community. The importance of schools for LGBTQ plus buyers is most evident when purchasing their second home. Now on to what we have now in front of our docket, and what is a really big part in what we are looking at today. The Equality Act is super, super important. Over 70% of Americans in this country support equal rights being extended to the LGBTQ plus community in orientation and identity. You heard President Biden talk about this during the State of the Union speech. This would be a huge step for us, as it would essentially outlaw discrimination at the federal level against LGBTQ plus people in the community in all facets of life, including housing and in credit. You'll be happy to know that there are so many of the major players in real estate and finance industries, including the National Association of Realtors, 1.6 million members publicly support the Equality Acts. Because we are starting a new Congress, this might need to wait more, but it takes not only just our alliance community, but our ally community and our associations, as well as our national associations, to be on board, to know that this is something that is a driving force to help us get our community on track and continue to drive homeownership in the LGBTQ plus community. So what we're doing at the Alliance, I talked about, what we do locally here, as well as what we do nationally. So things that we do at the Alliance, we have ongoing first-time homebuyer seminars on a local level. Our chapters all over the nation, and we have over 55 chapters active currently in the US that hold first-time homebuyer seminars for people of the LGBTQ plus community and allies. US Bank, Berkshire Hathaway, Enger and Volkers have come together to put together a first-time homebuyer guide to help not only the LGBTQ plus community, but first-time homebuyers in general. We understand that our community does not just serve one specific race, one specific facet of people. We include and have an inclusivity of all people. And so when it comes to discrimination, when it comes to the housing laws and things like that, we are advocating on a more grand level to eliminate discrimination for all people. We have fun events like you see here. We partner with Freddie Mac. If you were here in Houston in March, we held a joint event with Freddie Mac at the Houston Montrose Center, where we dived into the programs that Freddie Mac has offered, and we have partnered with them with these programs to be able to offer to our community as resources. A big part in what I've even pulled for LGBTQ plus community members and buyers that I've helped is a big part that they don't understand or don't have any education on is what resources are available. There are tons of resources down payment assistance, assistance nationally, assistance from local, and different things and programs that these lenders have to help them achieve homeownership. I even have a personal story of a client that I helped that even received a refund at closing because of the assistance and what we did to help them achieve and purchase their first home. So it is possible and is out there. You just have to find the resources and partner with those partners to be able to find those resources and connect your clients with them. If you have the right people and the right agents and the right lender and everybody involved to do that, this is achievable. And we have Alliance members who are really steadfast in making sure that we can achieve those for our community. And then obviously you can see here Article 10, LGBT Real Estate Alliance calls on our NARA and RPAC to utilize the Article 10 rule when supporting candidates and elected officials. As you can see, this is a big part in what we do and what recently we have sent letters to NAR as well as our local communities when making sure that the people who are putting forth laws and acts in our local and national governments that they support, as well as they are in the same mind of making sure that we don't have discrimination, make sure they don't use discriminatory terms in the speeches that they give and the rhetoric that they have to make sure that it aligns to that. They should be held to those same standards, and we want to make sure that we continue to hold them to that, because if we are supporting them as a real estate community, we want to make sure that they encompass all of the people that we support. Houston is mighty. We have, I believe the last statistic that I received was there was almost over 60,000 realtors in the city of Houston. And I think it's even growing as well. But we support a vast amount and we're not done growing. We are building, we are expanding, we are continuing to be a driving force in real estate in the nation. And we want to make sure that we protect all of our residents, and as well as have a place where they know and can be happy to come by and move into our state, move into our city, knowing that they will be protected, as well as they will be given the same treatment that they would be received from our straight and other community partners. So we do offer at the Alliance, we have a ally certification program. So we do offer this to any real estate professional that would like to be certified. You go through a training and you get something that you can add to your marketing, something you can add to your signature line that you can put out there. That's a really big part in what we do, because there's a increased growing of LGBT identified members that are in the community in the US. People are searching and people are looking for people who are that they can work with and feel comfortable working with. I'm even proud to say that I had a buyer Google my name and Google LGBTQ plus lender and was connected to me. And I actually have someone who's on this call who we closed the deal with last December because of them searching for someone and found these type of things, the ally certification and those type of things, that they found something in the community they felt comfortable with and was able to get them into achieving homeownership, and them knowing that everyone involved supported their process, supported what they their message, and making sure that they felt comfortable in getting to the closing table and do what we do as real estate professionals, is celebrate homeownership. And it's free to anybody. There is a link here. I will send out the deck afterwards, so there'll be the QR code to register. We hold this certification once a month, but if you have a brokerage or if you have a company that wants to hold a larger one, we can schedule a one-off specifically for your brokerage or company. So we can do those one-off with our national team as well. Something else that we offer that we just launched this year is our consumer website. So now LGBTQ+homes.com has launched, and our Alliance members and consumers can now search for professionals when it comes to buying their homes. A big part that we talked about earlier is the education and what we provide. So sellers and buyers are always looking for ways and looking for things to make sure that they're set up when they're ready to purchase a home, as well as when they're preparing to sell a home. So we have tabs on here and resources that we update periodically for them that will have documents and different things that we have that have been submitted by different various organizations that show an educational piece and allows them to search for professional. So this is another way that we brand ourselves and really being able to reach our community and really bring them in and knowing that we can connect with them and be able to take care of them as well. So I had a section here to remove barriers, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time and making sure that we have enough time for Q&A. So I'll go through this pretty quickly. It starts with our association. It starts with you. It really starts with making sure that, if you are someone who really is an ally or identifying our community, to make sure that your broker, make sure your brokerage is up to date on the efforts that we have, and being able to have a space to make sure that you, as someone who identifies and someone who supports the community, is set up for success. So if there is anything that needs to be worked on or anything that needs to be helped on, reach out to the Alliance, and we will make sure that we will do our best part in making sure that we provide the resources as well as provide what is needed to make sure that you have a safe space. Many companies have ERG groups that support. I'm proud to say that the Alliance, we even have ERG groups within the Alliance. So we have our Empower group, that is an empowerment of our women Alliance members. We have our PRISM group, which is our support of people of color and our BIPOC Alliance members. We have a group for our military and veterans group. We have all sorts of groups, and we're continuing to increase. We have Transcend, that is a Alliance ERG group that supports our transgender community. And we hold ourselves to make sure that we have a sense of advocacy for all of these communities to make sure that they're heard. So if you're somebody who would like to, continue in advocacy and continue to partner together, I really encourage you to get connected with us, because the more that we have and the more people that we have supporting is the more efforts that we have to move forward, to continue to drive forward as we have since 1968, and continue to drive forward as well. And our big part is knowledge is power. We inadvertently make mistakes, especially when adapting something new. There's always unfortunate times when we say the wrong thing or we make mistakes. But as we talked about earlier, the place that you come from is imperative to how someone will react and how we grow as a people. And sometimes it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I don't understand, because there is always a learning opportunity. And I'm proud to say that in dictionary.com named the word of the year as ally, because like I said before, we cannot do this alone. A big, vast, like I talked about, 25% of the Alliance group is allies, and we continue to want to increase the amount of allies that support our community and support our efforts as well, because like I said, we can't do it alone. And we want to make sure that as real estate professionals, that when you are working with somebody that may identify in the community, or if you identify yourself, that you have the resources available. And if you don't, you have a contact and a resource to be able to provide that. And so, we want to see us win. And like I said before, our ultimate goal is to achieve homeownership. And that doesn't mean homeownership of just LGBTQ plus people. It's homeownership for all and eliminating housing discrimination. So I want to thank you guys all for giving me the opportunity. I know that was a big mouthful, and I apologize for getting a little choked up in the beginning. This is something that I hold dear to my heart. And I practice this multiple times, and I still get choked up when talking about it, because it is really dear to my heart and part of my community and my past, as well as part of our future. And I hope that, if you've learned at least one thing today, you take away one thing, that it is something that you can take with you today, take with you tomorrow, take with you with your next buyer, your next seller. And, maybe it might be that additional one transaction or that one deal, that one relationship that could catapult your career, that could catapult and change someone's lives. I will say the most impactful closing that I've had have been the ones that the buyer or the seller literally hugged me at closing and just said thank you, right? It wasn't the one with the biggest deal or the most money or whatever. Some of the most impactful are the ones that you can see that they are so happy that someone believed in them. And I believe that HAR has a vast number of realtors that fit that mold, that have that same goal of achieving homeownership and really making an impact. So I want to open up to questions. I know I've been looking at the presentation. I know things are coming through here. So I want to open it up to anybody who has any questions. Mary Angie, do we have any questions in the queue?
I do have a question, and the question was regarding pronouns. What is the best, most respectful way to ask someone for their pronouns?
Absolutely. And I apologize. I did not say this at the beginning. I was, I guess, maybe a little nervous. So my pronouns are he, him. And that's in exactly the way that you would address it with someone else. So Mary Angie asked the perfect question. What is your pronouns? How can I make sure that I identify you correctly? And that was done perfectly, right? And just simply asking the question can go a long way. No one is going to say, are you offended or did you not know my pronouns? We are happy to share them. We are happy to be able to share that. And it just starts, we talked about, just coming from a place of love, right? I want to make sure that you feel comfortable and I want to make sure that I address you correctly. What is the pronouns or what are your pronouns? So I can make sure that I make a mental note and that anybody involved, that they make a mental note and make sure that we do that correctly.
Thank you. A lot of people are asking for your information and for the information for the class as well that you mentioned.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for specific questions, like I said, Mary Angie will send out the deck that I have here that has the QR code for the Ally certification program. So you can sign up for that. If you run into a roadblock or you run into anything at all, our email address is on the screen here that'll be included in the presentation. So it's houston@realestate.org. Or I know she's going to share my work email address. You can email me directly. Like I said, as the Houston president, I am connected directly to this email. So whether you send it to me or there, I'll get it either way. As you can see on the screen here, this is our chapter board here for Houston. We have a group here that we're continuously growing. And so, we also have room to have people add to our leadership team. I am not someone that, likes to have a small niche group. We are always have opportunities for people to help and for people to be involved. And we've even had people that have spoken up that said, hey, I would love to help you with this, or I love to be involved, or what can I do to help in the community? And so we always are looking for people to be able to do that. But all the contact information will be shared with everybody to get that class scheduled on the docket for you. And like I said, if you run into any issues or anything like that, or you don't get an answer back, copy me or email me and I will make sure we get connected. As a chapter president, I have direct line of sight to our CEO and president, Ryan Wendlandt. And so we have the ability to make sure that those things can get done for you. And I'm happy to help facilitate the Ally program as well.
Perfect. And they're asking if you offer personalized information. I'm guessing they're meaning if they have a client and they have any questions, can they refer them to you? Or maybe they can meet with you individually to answer those questions they might have behind the scenes.
Absolutely. One thing as a lender, you talk to any lender, right? No one wants to lose a deal. No one wants for it to go someone else, right? But ultimately, I wear two hats. My day job is the lender, and I'm here to help. My other hat in my job is the president of the alliance. If you have questions, if you have clients, if you have specific instances where you're unsure, send it to me, ask. Even if I'm not involved in the transaction, I still want to make sure that I can provide you resources and provide you what you need to make sure that you take care of your client. Because ultimately, my oath that I took, even though I didn't take an actual oath, my oath is to help clients achieve homeownership, whether it be through my capacity as the alliance president or as a lender. I'd love to meet any of your clients, whether they identify in the community or Ally or not. I'd love to be able to connect with them, but even if they have specific questions or they want to know what resources are out there, or anything specific for the city of Houston or what we offer here, or just to get connected with other programs, I know that I've even referred to some of my partners within the alliance as well for things that I can't physically do, right? I can't do every single loan. I can't help every single buyer, but I can connect you with someone who will help you achieve homeownership, which is my ultimate goal. So yes, once you have my contact or even email the Houston Real Estate email address, if you have specific questions or if you have a specific client situation or even want to introduce a client, I'm happy. I am always taking on new clients as well. I work on a team and I have a wonderful partner who is helping me and helps us with our clients as well. And I have a wonderful team at the Alliance here as well that we can make sure that we get any questions answered and get your clients started in the process of achieving homeownership. Because as you know, our percentages are increasing and they're going to continue to increase even more. And as people get more comfortable in living their true self, that will continue to grow. And we are going to see a catapult in the next year. I'm hoping that we're going to see a catapult in the Houston market and really just drive forward in homeownership as well. And I hope that we can all get on that wave and ride that to success for everybody as well.
Are they able to join the alliance at any point they would like, or there's a specific open day with you registered with the alliance?
So you can join the alliance at any given time. And what I will do is I will add a slide that will have a QR code that will give you $50 off of your first year. So and the slide will include our membership information, so I'll include that as well. But we have 3 different types of membership. Our professional includes a monthly or an annual, and then we have a non-directory that gives you the membership benefits, but doesn't add you to the directory list or even the consumer website. A lot of our professionals like the professional website or the professional membership because it gives them even more outlet to reach more people and more access as well. But I'll include that information on there, but you get $50 off of your first year to get started. And majority of the people that have joined and even joined recently have loved the opportunity for what we offer as far as CE. We make sure that we have, like I said, our pillars of education. We offer courses throughout the year to help you get CE credit. We are always open. If you have a specific CE class that you would like us to put on, send it to us. We will put it together as quickly as we need to and make sure we get an instructor and we'll get that set up. We don't know unless we know. So if there's something going on or something that you see out there that you're like, I really would like to take that class, but I don't see anybody putting it on or anything like that, send it to us. We are happy to do it. We just did recently, we did a class about inspections. We did Legal 1, Legal 2. So we have these courses that are needed for your licensing, and we're happy to put on as many as we can. And so share with us in that, and we're happy to do that as well.
And another question, so are you able to report any type of discrimination? Who is the immediate person to report that to?
Yeah, so I would say, as a real estate professional or wherever you are in the community, whether you're a lender or whether you're a title agent, if it's not at the broker level, it's some form, I would definitely refer to your broker to make sure that those are done correctly, to make sure that the compliance piece is put in there for any type of complaints. I'm not exact because I'm not a licensed realtor to know what the channels are for that. But if you have specific instances or questions that you have or have experienced any of this, please connect with us and we'll make sure. My vice president is a real estate agent. Actually, pretty much everyone else is also as well. So we can make sure we get connected with the right channels to make sure that we address it. We identify it, we address it, and we make sure we take action to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Because ultimately, you should never feel that way. Your client should never feel that way. And we'll make sure and get connected with the right people to make sure that we don't have that happen again as well. Whether it be on the other side, your client, their client, whoever it may be, we'll make sure that we address it as well, because no one should be in that situation, as in anything, right? We don't want somebody to feel discriminated against about their race or about their family dynamic or anything like that. So we want to make sure that we do. But if you have a specific question or an instance, send it our way, but I would defer you to whoever is your superior, unless it is that person. And then just connect with us and we'll make sure we connect you to the right person and party.
Thank you. And then I have another question here that says, I see that you have an alliance certification course tomorrow. It states that it's mainly intended for straight allies. What would be the benefit for someone who already identifies as LGBTQ+?
Yeah, so that specific ally program, it's called our ally program. So it is for people who identify in our ally community that would like to have that specific certification for their specific business or their specific brokerage or whatever their business is as well. As someone who identifies in the community, you have the ability, we have an alliance logo that you can share as an alliance member that can help to be able to add to that if for having that certification. The certification really goes to show the education that we talked about at the very beginning about the terms and making sure that they go into a little bit more detail with it. But I welcome anybody to the ally certification. I took the certification and I probably should take it again to make sure I keep up to date on any new things that have happened, but anybody can take it. It's based for our allies, but anybody is open to doing it. And like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still, things are still evolving as we go. So that course is evolving as well. So I encourage anybody who wants to take that course. It's not just for allies. It can be for anybody, but specifically for that certification, they can use that. Or even if you want to, if you identify and you are also an ally as well, to ally to other communities, you can add the logo and have that certification on there. It's a great way, something to add to your resume, something to add as a professional that's just continuing to help you catapult your career and move forward as well.
And you mentioned there is a $50 off the first year of your membership. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And I will include it in the slides. It'll be our QR code. So what it'll do is that QR code will take you to the membership and it'll give you the promo code that will discount $50 off. It's the annual membership. So because it's 50 and our monthly membership is 20, the discount only works on the annual membership, but it gives you $50 off that specific one.
Are you able to host these classes or certifications for specific brokerage offices?
Yes. So we do offer the Ally Certification Program on a monthly basis at our national level. However, we can specifically schedule these classes if there is a brokerage or if there is a group that would like to do a specialized one for themselves. Those do have to be planned in advance because it is proctored by our national team. And our national team is one person that's proctoring it right now. But he has given us the go ahead to say, if we have a brokerage or if we have somebody who wants to do the Ally program, that they will schedule the time to be able to do that. So it's a great way to get your complete brokerage certified as an ally that they can promote on their social media page, they can promote on their website. And we've even seen some really vast growth in our community and even uptick in online leads as well as online connections because of that listed on their website. Google finds those things, and when people are searching, it moves them up to the top. So what great way to have your website moved up to the top or have your brokerage moved up to the top because of something like this, because it's something that's being more searched more frequently now as well. But to answer your question, yes, we can schedule it. Just get with us on it and we can get together on what dates and times that we can have it presented and make sure that we have it set up for your brokerage.
Do you have the website in hand? Some people are asking for the website that they can go look at these certifications.
Absolutely. So as you can see on the very, and it's at the end of the slide here too. So our website here is realestatealliance.org. If you go to that website, you will find all of the resources. You'll see some of the stuff we talked about, our history. It'll talk about our national leadership. It talks about events that we have. So even as not a member, you can see the events. I didn't include it on here. However, we are hosting our national convention for the Alliance here in Houston in September. So September 26th, 27th, and 28th, we are nationing our national convention right here in Houston. So a huge benefit to our community. We were chosen out of all the other major cities to host as our second year to host after Las Vegas last year, because Houston had such a vast opportunity to host here in Houston. So we're super, super excited. We want to get everybody signed up and to join there. And the benefit for us in Houston is we don't have to pay for hotel and flights. So the cost is significantly decreased for us. But we have a great number of presenters, speakers, breakout sessions, as well as some of our, there's some surprise celebrity guests that will be joining us as well to speak at the convention. And we want to have as many people as we can join us there and really represent Houston as what we are as a community. But yes, the website is on here. You can visit and gather all of that information as well. Once you put in your address, it will align you to Houston as well. So you'll start to get information automatically when we send out updates and events and different things like that. But everything is housed on our website as well.
And what is the best way to stay informed all the changes in the laws and everything that you spoke on?
Yeah, so we will send out information. That's something that, as you become an Alliance member, as you join the mailing list from the website, those type of things come to your inbox. So, immediately when we send out the message to NAR and to the legislatures for HAR, even earlier this year, all of our alliance members receive that communication. So as things are coming up and as things are happening, our national team pushes it out to all of our members or anybody on our mailing list. So we add people to that frequently. And so it gives you the ability to know what's up to date and what those things are involved. Another thing to keep involved as well is the other organizations that we have in Houston. So I'm proud to say that we have a membership, our memorandum of understanding with HAR. And so we're continuing to partner with them throughout the year to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information. And HAR is a great, wonderful partner of ours that we'll continue to partner with as we go through the year and making sure that we're updated on those things, all the real estate. But I encourage you, we also are partnering with the LGBTQ Greater Houston Chamber of Commerce. And there's a lot of advocacy that is there, as well as our LGBT caucus that has a lot of information to share, and those things, laws that are updates. That's something for me as a president, I wanted to make sure I was up to date. So I joined the mailing list for the caucus to be able to know when these bills are being passed and things are happening, day at the Capitol, and all these things that you can advocate for. Because I will share that not only as real estate professionals, but people see and want to work with people that they like. And if there's someone there that they see as advocating for their community, doing the things that they can to make sure that they're protected and really showing what we do and we love, it only goes to show, and that positive karma, that outlook that we have is only going to in turn come back as positivity back to us. So like I said, you guys will get my contact information. If there's any specific things that you would like, or like any resources or anything like that you have questions on, reach out to me. If I don't know, I will find somebody that has the answer, or somebody we can connect with as well. Use me as a resource. I'm happy to be there for it as well. But we're here for everybody. Anything we can do. I did see a question come in about talking to your brokerage. Absolutely. I would love to be able to do that. If you could do me a huge favor, send me an email. You will have my email at the end of the presentation as well. And let's set something up. We could put together whatever presentation, talk with your broker and see, what exactly we want to present, what exactly we want to have ready to go. And we can tailor that specific presentation to your brokerage and how it impacts what we can do as well. So if you could just shoot me an email, and I'll keep it in my inbox and make sure that we get that scheduled and get that on the books for you as well.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today. It's been great information. I thoroughly enjoy hearing from you. Do you have any other closing comments?
All I can say is love. And, we at the Alliance have the same motive and the same goal as everyone. Is we want everyone to be treated equally and equitably, as well as we want there to be no discrimination when it comes to housing, because everyone deserves the right to be able to achieve homeownership. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but we have a plan and we have a goal to help anybody who is willing to move forward as well. So I leave you with that. I leave you with, like I said, love is love again. It's Pride Month, and we just celebrated Pride in Houston. So happy Pride. We designate this month, but not just June. Every month, every day, we celebrate Pride. And anything we can do to celebrate, and the things that we have, celebrate your clients, celebrate your partners, celebrate anybody that you can, because every instance of that is just one step forward in our ultimate goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone that joined us today. I am going to send the information. I'm going to send the deck so that you have everything with you. Share it with the people around you. Share it with your colleagues. I think this is great information that will help us not only today, but in the future as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have another webinar tomorrow, which kind of goes alongside with this one, which is let's talk about house fair resources. So what resources are out there to make sure that everyone, doesn't matter the economic status, gets a house. That is going to be hosted by Leticia Grant. I know a lot of you are familiar with her, so I'm very excited. I'm going to put the link on that in the chat. And we also have a AI webinar series that is going to be launching in July, everything related to AI and how it can empower you and your real estate career. So make sure you sign up for that as well. Again, thank you so much, Reyes. We're going to send all your information. You're probably going to be flooded with emails, but that's great because that means people care. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that everyone has the chance to be a homeowner.
Of course, of course. And I appreciate you. Thank you again, Mariangie, for giving me the opportunity. And thank you all for taking time out of your busy day. I know it's the end of the month to allow and listen to me chat today. And I hope to work with all of you in the future and connect with you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone have a wonderful day.